If you've been involved in a car accident in Georgia, you'll get what's called a Georgia Motor Vehicle Crash Report, often called the police report. This is a standard form that all agencies in the state use, and it's a key piece of evidence for your personal injury case. Now, this typically takes a few days to become available. It can usually be accessed online through a website called buycrash.com. We'll often ask, as lawyers during our initial client consultation, if you have a copy of this report. Many folks do already, but it's perfectly fine if you don't. Your lawyer can retrieve this report for you or guide you through that process. And for cases involving wrongful death or really catastrophic injuries, there is often a second supplemental report that is completed after a much more lengthy and detailed investigation by a specialized task force. But today, we're just going to talk about how to read the uniform crash report that is involved in all car wreck cases. So I'll show you what it looks like. This is the standard form motor vehicle crash report in Georgia. As you can see, there's a lot of information on it. So I just want to point out a few things. So much of this is very straightforward, but you have the location on top and the date and time, of course. Usually this is taken from dispatch records. Then you have, of course, the driver's information, pretty straightforward. The vehicle information, insurance, that's always an important thing to look for us as lawyers. And, of course, if the case involves a commercial motor vehicle, there's going to be some more information below. But you can see I've highlighted a few things here, and that's sort of one of the first things that we look to make sure that we have the correct party in terms of who is at fault. So most times, not always, there'll be this box check, the highlighted suspected at fault. That is what it sounds like. It's who the officer determines to have been at fault. That's not always checked, actually, but what usually will be indicated is below the other highlight, operator contributing factors, and there's a number. So the number, you actually have to go and look at what we call an overlay, which is basically a key, and it's often not included with the actual report itself, but you can actually go online. This is actually the Buy Crash website where you can buy the report. This is what it looks like. You can just search Buy Crash in your state, well, Georgia in this case, it'll come up, and you just fill out the information. As for the overlay, you can just Google Georgia Crash Report Overlay, and these will all get you there. So this is what it looks like. And you can see here, you can look at all the codes and then look at the number and see what it corresponds to. So in our report, we have, for the suspected at-fault driver, it says operator contributing factors 4. And that means failed to yield. And then for our non-at-fault driver, we have operator contributing factors 1. That means no contributing factors. In other words, that person did nothing wrong. So that's always important to look for in a police report. A few other things to look for. Of course, you can look at all these codes, but the narrative is usually going to be a really important part of a police report. This is where the investigating officer reports his or her findings, including the basis for any citations or contributing factors regarding fault for the wreck. You noticed here there's no citation information listed, but that doesn't mean that the driver was not at fault just because they didn't get a citation. And then sometimes citations are issued later as part of a criminal proceeding. Not always, but again, just because there's no citation information does not mean that one driver is not, didn't violate the rules of the road, right? And you can see that here. You can see in the officer's narrative that when he talked to driver 1, that was who was checked as at fault, the driver stated that he was going south light was yellow, tried to beat the light before it turned red and didn't see the motorcycle. That's Unit 2. And then you have a witness who said, yeah, that's what happened. And based on this, you can see driver 2 was injured, the motorcyclist was injured, went to Grady, and it'll tell you, where to look for the EMS records as well. And in this case, this is key information. Anytime that there's witness information or additional information like this in a narrative, in this case, there was a MARTA bus nearby that happened to get video footage. So, of course, that's going to be great evidence for the case, and that's something that us, as the lawyers in the case, would immediately go and retrieve from MARTA. So that's your narrative, and then, again, the rest of the report is basically summarizing information, the officer's findings. You can see the diagram, of course, of the accident, witness information, if the witness was gracious enough to stay and wait for the police to give a statement. Of course, that's what you saw here. Oftentimes, witnesses aren't always all listed. There may be other witnesses that you have to go and find. That's something that a good lawyer can do as part of your case. And, just like there are many other times when there's other facts that aren't necessarily included in the report, a good lawyer can get out and investigate, especially the earlier that you contact a law firm, the better. Other times, less frequently, the report can just be plain wrong about what happened. So the report really is just one piece of evidence in the case, and it really is just an investigative tool. It is not a substitute for witness testimony. It's certainly a valuable tool, but again, a good lawyer will help to investigate your case, and depending on the case, it may be necessary to hire a private accident reconstructionist, or to go look at the physical evidence, or again, go track down additional witnesses, etc. So if you've got specific questions about your crash report, please contact us to see how we can help with your case.